found this music that just gives me this.
Like I said, I'm the head men's soccer coach at Montana State University Billings, up in Billings, Montana, in the northwest of the U.S. We're a four-year school, and we compete at the NCAA Division II level. So we've got Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA Junior College. It doesn't necessarily mean that Division II is inferior to Division I. It depends on which division you're in, depends on the amount of sports that your athletic department offers, and typically also the amount of students that your institution has. We compete in the, or our conference is the Great Northwest Athletic Conference, which is one of the strongest Division II conferences across the board in the U.S. And because we're in Billings, Montana, typically players like yourselves, American players as well, don't consider us right off the bat. So for me, this is a great opportunity to introduce our program to you, maybe plant a little bit of a seed in the back of your mind about our school, because we rely heavily on international players. And I'm sure that just like these three guys behind me, if you come to the point that you're going to be talking to schools or that you're starting the process, you're going to think about going to California, Florida, and New York City. This guy here does play in California. But Aaron, where do you play? Boston. Where did you play, Vincent?
Ohio.
In Ohio. So there's so many different places that you can go to, because you need to look at athletics, obviously, soccer players, but more importantly, you need to think about academics. You need to think about the financial package. You need to think about the location. You need to think about the coach. So make sure that along with John, you do your due diligence in terms of researching where it is that you want to end up. And again, I think there's no one better here than John to help you with that. Now, we recruit international players like yourselves. I'm from Belgium originally. I played at a very small private Division II school in Memphis, Tennessee called Christian Brothers University. And for me, the process of going from Belgium as a young man was, I'm thinking back about it now, and it was intense, because I had to leave my family behind, I had to leave my friends behind, I became a little bit homesick, and I didn't have anyone like John to fall back on when I was struggling with these different things. So it's a process of, you have to persevere, without a doubt, and you're going to have to be able to balance your academics, your athletics, and maybe a tiny little bit of social life adequately, because pre-season typically lasts 2 to 4 weeks. You're training twice a day. You spend a lot of time together. You eat together. You sleep together, because sometimes you're going to be staying in a dorm room with your teammates. And then when classes start, you still train once a day. You have to travel to play your games. You have your homework, your tests, your exams, and like I said, tiny little bit of social time. So making sure that your discipline is extremely important. Stay on top of your academics now and when you're in college, because if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to compete. You're going to be ineligible. So you need to understand that you need to be a student in the first place. And also, the truth is that if you're a good student, you're going to be rewarded financially as well, because you can get soccer scholarship money, athletic scholarship money, and you can get academic scholarship money. And you can combine those two to get a financial package that's going to help you and your family. So being a student athlete at an American university is something very, very intense. And that's something that you need to accept and that you need to prepare for mentally, psychologically, before you leave. If you think that's going to be a walk in the park, that's not going to be the case. But on the back end of that, what you're going to get back is a fantastic experience. You're going to create relationships that are going to last a lifetime. You're going to get a quality education, and you're going to learn to stand on your own feet. So that's what you get in return for the investment that you make at the very beginning.
I chose Bowling Green State University in Ohio, and I just want to say from the beginning, it's not all about D1. It doesn't have to be about D1 soccer. There is each division is as competitive in its own right, and you really need to make sure you choose the right fit and do your research and understand the demands of the program that you're going into. And so basically, if at Bowling Green and in D1 football, what I had encountered and came across was basically it was a very fast-paced game, athletic-based. It was all about the physical nature and speed about the game. And the biggest thing on the pitch is the fitness aspect as well. It's pretty. The fitness was pretty grueling. If you're not maintaining a certain grade, you're ineligible to play. So the academics is so important as well, and I really prided myself on that aspect as well. And one of the traits that I learned and I came out of my experience in America was my time management and organisation. And that alone from football and soccer it's a trait that you take with you for the rest of your life. So to manage the schooling aspect and soccer and stay disciplined, it's critically important.
In terms of John mentioned as my academics, I'm not academically gifted like some players or students are, and throughout high school I never really applied myself, which is something I regret a lot, but it's something that changed when the opportunity to go to America came upon. So when this opportunity came, I kind of turned my head around, really focused academically, and while it might have been too late, so we did have some problems with my grades, you don't want that problem. So as soon as you can, as soon as school goes back, get your head in the books, because it's extremely important. Your typical day in America will usually be training in the morning or afternoon, 2 hours. You'll go to class, and then at night you'll do some schoolwork. On the weekends, even during the week, you'll travel for games, sometimes stay in hotels, depending on how far away it is. So you are treated like a professional footballer. Hotels, you get a lot of gear, everything. You're treated like a proper professional. But that's on you to act like a professional as well. So there's a lot to it. You have very busy days in season, and you have to be fit, as Vince mentioned. The first thing we do when we get there for pre-season, we do a 3.3 kilometer run in 12 minutes. So that's 2 miles. And that's the first thing you do before you touch a ball. If you don't pass that, you're on the bench for most of the season, or until you can pass it again. You might have to redo it. It's up to the coach. Second day, you do the beep test. If you don't get a certain score, you got to be fit.
As John said, I go to Cal State Northridge. It's like 40 minutes from the center of LA, so it's pretty close to big city. It's been a bit of an interesting experience for me. It has to be, as Vinny said, D1 isn't everything. Everyone wants to be a D1 because it's the best, it's everything you hear about, but doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for you. It's all about personal choice, personal preference. You're going to find the best fit for you. And D1 coaches, you have to really be patient. Like, I first came in and fitness was a big aspect. I wasn't as fit as I could be. So I got redshirted. That means you don't play in any of the games for a season. You can practice, but you can't play. So it's been very patient. Have to just train hard, just do what they say, and then eventually you get your chance and you take it, and then everything's good from there. But as I said, it's fitness, athleticism, strength. Like, I'm not the fastest, so I have to be strong. If they're not the biggest, they have to be fast. It's one or the other. You have to be as they want you to be. You have to be fit. You have to run for 90 minutes, basically. We have fitness tests that the first time we did it, half the team didn't pass. It was so hard, so we had to get even fitter than we were. We did the 12-minute test as well. It's a lot about that, and it's a lot of balancing. Like, when you don't have, in summertime, when you have the preseason, you don't have school, you just practice in the morning, practice at night, so it's not too hard, other than it's physically demanding. But once you get into school, you can wake up at 7, you can have weights, then you can have practice, then you can have class till 6. Nowadays, I didn't get home until 8 at night, and I left at 8 in the morning. So it's a lot of balancing, and then you got to go home and do your homework, get your grades sorted, because you are a student before you're an athlete. If you have, they call it a student athlete for a reason, so if you don't have the grades, you're not going to be able to play, and then your coach is going to get on your back. So you really got to be able to manage everything well and keep the grades. Academically, it's just stay on top of everything. Set deadlines for yourself. Make sure you get the work done. If there's extra credit, do the extra credit. Trust me, it helps a lot. Just being organized. As you said, it helps you, gives you great life skills. You get organized. It's a great experience. And one thing my parents said to me, it helps you mature real quickly. Like, you leave school at 18 years old, you're still a boy, you're still a child really, and you get there, you're living on your own basically, so you have to turn into an adult pretty quickly, which is pretty good for yourself because you mature a lot quicker than you ever would here. And the level of play, it's fast, it's athletic. You got to be, as John said, we went about 50% here, so you can imagine if we have to go full speed, it's pretty quick. You have to be thinking all the time, you have to be fit. Fitness, like I've said it a bunch of times, but it's really what they look at. If you're not fit, you won't play. Basically that.
There was a profile of a player that came across my desk, Belgian player, played for one of the best academies in Belgium, trained with the first team that's in the top flight. Right, was loaned out to a second division club in Holland and wanted to come to the US. And we made him, who was a Belgian Youth International, U16, U17, Belgian International, played in the Youth Champions League as well, so it's the highest standard of soccer in Europe. And we made him an offer. We made him the best offer that we've ever made a player in my tenure at MSUB, 7 years. And he had to pay a very, very small amount of money. But that wasn't good enough for him because he wanted a full scholarship. And getting a full scholarship, I think, is a myth. Coaches don't throw them around like that. Just to have an idea, at the Division 2 level, we are allowed to give out 9 scholarships and we carry a squad of 25 players. So obviously, to keep everyone happy, we divide all that money up. That player did not accept our scholarship offer, and right now he's nowhere and he's got nothing because he wanted that full scholarship. So please, parents, keep in mind that you will have to pay something for that American experience of your child. And to also wrap it up, all 4 of us have been giving John kudos. We're not doing that because he's paying us, he's not. But he will not blow smoke up your ass. Just to give you an idea, in the last 12 months I've been recruiting in Iceland, Guatemala, Peru, Canada, Germany, France, Belgium, Holland, the US obviously as well. And he is a guy that will be able to get your profile, your video, your information to guys like myself. And not everyone is successful at doing that in an ethical way. I like to work with guys like John because of that, because he's ethical. Because there's a lot of sharks out there. So be selective who you pick to take you by the hand and to go through this process. And the last thing is this. We've spoken about a lot of the problems, a lot of the hurdles. It's an unbelievable experience. I've gone through it, they've gone through it. It's a life-changing experience. It's an incredibly positive experience. And if you get to the US, if you get to a college, it's going to make you a different person, you'll see.